Hi everyone, Gary Cassidy here and welcome to another very special episode of Dropkick DiSKussions. Well, over the past few weeks you'll have heard me chatting to the likes of Matt Riddle, Stevie Richards, Leo Rush, Chris Van Vliet, Joe Coffey and so many others. But today's a little bit of a milestone. We've actually got our very first female guest on the show. I know, long overdue, I couldn't agree more. And hopefully it's not too long until the next one. But let's get this one out of the way first. And I need to apologise. I've actually just done this guest a huge disservice by simply calling her our first female guest. Who cares about that? Why am I talking to her today? Well, she's been in the wrestling industry for a good few years now. You might have seen her on the likes of Impact Wrestling and All Elite Wrestling. She's spoken to the likes of Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, Matt Riddle and so many others, and she's here to talk to us all about it. My guest today is the interview queen herself, Alicia Atout. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Thank you.
How's it going?
Hi, that was such an amazing intro. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing extremely well here in sunny Toronto, and I'm super excited to be on here.
Thank you. I was super excited until you said sunny Toronto, because I'm in not so sunny Scotland right now. But apart from that, yeah, we can't complain too much. So we know that wrestling fans can be in a little bit of a bubble sometimes. I'm sure most of them are familiar with your work outside of wrestling, but just as a little background, you actually started Amby back when you were 17 years old. As far as I know, anyway. I never want to get tripped up on my research, but I think that was the case anyway. You've obviously interviewed a whole load of musicians, the likes of Bring Me Horizon, Andy Black. But what made you transition into, well, I shouldn't say transition, but you managed to broaden your horizons, we'll say, and add wrestling onto the music and everything else? What made you decide to go, wrestling would be a good area of interviewing?
Yeah, so the music stuff just got to a point where it was big enough and it was on a big enough platform where my dad approached me. He said, hey, you have the music stuff down. You're doing a good job. People are really enjoying the interviews. You have this fan base finally. Why don't you just try interviewing a wrestler? Give it a shot. Worst case, your music fans reject it. They say, hey, this isn't working. We don't like it. And, you try to find another way. But he's like, just give it a try. So I was like, you know what? He's usually right about stuff when it comes to business decisions. So I decided, let's give it a try. So I did one wrestling interview. It did super well. I only had like maybe 2 out of however many thousands of people watch it say, oh, what happened to the music? La la la. So the response was so positive, I figured, let's just keep doing this. And next thing you know, fast forward about 2 years since that first wrestling interview, I just haven't turned back. It's completely consumed my life.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd mentioned that you'd done Impact, but most recently people would have seen you on Double or Nothing. How did Impact come about and how did Double or Nothing come about?
Yeah, so when it comes to Impact, I was working a few local shows, and then one of those local shows was called BCW, and that one is co-owned by Scott D'Amore, who's the VP for Impact. And then they started doing some co-pros with Impact Wrestling. So it got to a point where I was already in their eyes, I was already at their shows, and they just brought me on for television after that. So it was a very smooth transition and worked super well in that regard. And then once I was on TV with them, I was still really focusing on my YouTube channel, and I interviewed Cody, Rhodes, the Bucks, Kenny Omega, and we just kept in touch after those first few interviews. And they started to kind of know me because of my YouTube channel and just seeing them at shows. And once I realized, oh wow, they're going to be doing All In, I reached out, said, hey, if you need anyone, I happen to know somebody, wink wink, and they brought me on for that. And then once the rumors for AEW came about, I did kind of the same thing, like, hey guys, last time it worked out amazingly. I'm so thankful for the opportunity. If you need a backstage host, feel free to hit me up. And then next thing you know, backstage at Double or Nothing. So it's all been very effortless, and I'm very thankful for all of the opportunities and the fact that they all came around super organically.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note, I do need to ask, will we be seeing more of you in All Elite Wrestling?
All I'm going to say, because I get asked this all the time by so many fans every day, when is Alicia going to be All Elite? It's one of those things where I'm speaking with the guys and it's a wait-and-see process, but fingers crossed in the end, some really cool stuff will be coming up.
Yeah, here's hoping we see more of Alicia A, I believe you're called on that.
Yes.
I need to ask, is there any specific reasoning behind that? Is it just a case of separation, or I don't know, you'll be able to tell me more than I can speculate on it.
So that was directly from the brilliant mind of one Cody Rhodes. Whenever we text, he'll either call me AA or Alicia A. And so one time he just said, "Hey, are you cool with the name Alicia A, by the way, for on air?" And I'm like, I'm not gonna say no to him. So we just rolled with it. I liked the ring of it, and it just sounds cool. It's different. So I like that I can kind of have that moniker for AEW stuff, and then just keep it Alicia Atout with my stuff, because backstage is fairly different than my casual, free-flowing interviews. So I really liked it when he pitched that to me. It was cool.
Yeah, definitely, and that kind of answers my next question anyway, but I'm just going to ask it. I'm guessing if you were to go forward as a backstage personality or backstage interviewer, the interviewing that you do on your YouTube channel, I'm guessing that's not going to stop anytime soon.
Definitely not. There's a lot of times where certain companies, because I've read over different contracts, and I'm not just speaking in regards to AEW, just so many different companies. Some want you to stop certain things, some are completely cool with it, some only want you to interview their talent. So I feel like anytime I've been backstage at their shows, they've always let me have carte blanche of who I want to speak with. So it's kind of hard to say, but if an opportunity comes about that's so amazing and something I need to take, and Amby maybe had to be put on the side just for a little bit, then I'd be willing to take that. You kind of never know where life's going to take you, so I'm definitely open as long as it ends up being something I enjoy doing. So
yeah, definitely. I've got a kind of, we'll say this a little bit of a cheeky question here, but I don't think it is, because it's probably me that cares about it more than anyone else that's listening to this. But I need to ask, as someone who I've been very privileged to interview a lot of people, but obviously nowhere near as many as yourself, so I need to take the opportunity. I love interviewing wrestlers and musicians. The interviewee, I think they bring, I would say, about 90% of it to the table. Like, whatever you're doing, they're obviously the main subject of it. But there's people like yourself and Chris Van Vliet who have just managed to be so successful as interviewers. And, like, I don't know, maybe it's only me, but a lot of people, if you were to put up an interview with anyone on the planet, even if they weren't that interested, I think a lot of people would still click on it just to see yourself interviewing them and see what you were bringing. What do you think the role of an interviewer is? Do you think it's a really important role, or are you just asking the questions?
I think it's a very important role, because I feel like people want to see this rock star or this amazing wrestler. They want to see their favorite personalities, not just sitting there answering questions that are listed off. I feel like they really enjoy seeing them in a fun conversation where their personality really gets to shine, because as interviewers, if we just sit there and we just name off questions and there's no connection, then the interviewee is just going to answer very plainly, very bored. I've seen it happen a lot, which is a shame. So I feel like our job as interviewers is to get the best reaction out of our guests, have fun with them, and therefore everyone involved can have fun, whether it's the people in the room watching, the people behind the camera, the people watching through a screen. It's definitely our jobs to have fun with it and make everyone feel comfortable. So, and by no means is it about putting ourselves over, but if we're able to do that in the process, I won't complain.
Definitely. Well, that was the reason I actually brought that up is, like, myself, like, when I started doing interviews, like, you and Chris Van Vliet were two people that I'm going, man, they just make the role completely their own. And one of my favourite things, no worries, one of my favourite things that I actually saw of yours isn't even an interview, which is the most bizarre thing ever. It was actually the little clip that you done with, I can't remember what, I think it was like Starcast or something like that, but it was the clip of Sue Young, where you're well, not really interviewing her, because I watched the full interview and that was amazing as well, but you're just kind of trying to get the interview from her, and she obviously goes in to bite you, which is just complete gold. On that note, what's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you on an interview, and can that be topped?
Oh gosh. So I was interviewing Rosemary, and it was within my first 4 months of doing wrestling interviews. So I was still getting very used to interviewing people who have very unique personas. So I'm sitting there with the Demon Assassin, and we're ending our interview, and she's weirding me out this entire interview. It's like 12 minutes. And right at the end, I go to say, well, Rosemary, thank you for your time. I'm just gonna scoot out, I'm kind of freaked out. Thank you. Go back to your hivelings and do your business. And she goes to say thanks, grabs my hand, and she licks it. Straight on. She doesn't go to eat it like Sue Young, but she does lick my entire hand. And I was genuinely, like, I'm no BS here, no gimmicks. I was genuinely so grossed out. Nothing against Rosemary's hygiene, but I just don't want anybody licking me. So that's probably the weirdest thing that's happened that I'll never forget.
Yeah, definitely a little bit too close for comfort, but I mean, it's definitely going to get people watching.
Oh, gosh.
So, were you ever a wrestling fan? Was that something that was always there in the works, or was it something that you just more recently went, well, it's a good opportunity?
So I've been a wrestling fan since I was a really little kid. I used to watch with my dad when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I never really phased out of it. There were definitely moments throughout my teen years where I stopped watching it or I was more into it, just like with TV shows and everything. But it's always been a constant in my life. So that's why when my dad said, "Hey, why don't you try interviewing wrestlers?" It wasn't some random thought. It was something where he kind of was thinking, well, she knows a lot about it. She's a genuine fan. Let's see if it'll, be as good as the music interviews. And luckily it all worked out. So definitely always been a fan.
Excellent. That means I can put this question to you then. Only a little set up to the next one, which is, for me, I think in this day and age, wrestling, maybe for as long as I've been born and alive, it's as exciting as it's ever been. You've got WWE, you've got AEW, Impact, New Japan. There's so many companies out there. How exciting is it for you, both as obviously someone who does interviews, but just as a fan?
It's super exciting because for me, it's, as you just mentioned, it's two different aspects. One is being a fan, thinking, holy shnikes, like there's so much wrestling to watch. Where's my mind go? It's crazy. And then there's the work aspect, which is great for two reasons. One, because on the interview and YouTube front, it's more opportunities to get interviews with people. That'll be more companies coming through town, more places I can travel and get content from my channel, which is amazing. The more talent, the better. And then the other work front that's amazing is more companies to book me and bring me on to be a host, an interviewer, ring announcer, whatever it may be. So it definitely broadens the horizon on that front as well, just being, super honest with the listeners right now. So it's an amazing time. Wrestling fans are going to have to DVR so much content. Like, you're not even going to know what to do with yourself. But I'd rather have more than not enough. So I think it's an amazing time right now for wrestling fans and just people in the industry alike.
Yeah, definitely. That leads me on to one final question I've got for you. So I felt like I had to end on this question. You've interviewed what seems like everyone on the planet, but I think there's probably a few names that are out there that you maybe haven't. Who would be your dream interviewee?
It's between two people. Am I allowed to kind of cheat and pick two?
Yeah. I'm more than happy for you to stick two names in there.
It's definitely The Rock and Stone Cold. I feel like both those interviews would be so much fun. I feel like with Stone Cold, he's so blunt and there's no BS at all with him, and it would just be so almost cheeky in a way. Like, I feel like it'd be really cool. And then The Rock is just like one of the coolest dudes ever. So he seems like he can converse with anyone, have a good time, no ego. So those are definitely my top two, and Cena definitely sneaks in there. So some big names, but I've gotten some big names I never thought I'd be able to get before, so I'm optimistic. We shall see what the future holds.
Definitely, anything can happen. I'm pretty sure they won't be too far away anyway. Thank you so much for chatting with me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much for taking the time, and your accent is absolutely awesome. So I appreciate you taking the time.
You're one of the few people that said that, so thank you very much.
Oh, that's so funny. I grew up listening to so much music from across the pond, so it's like I'm so used to hearing those accents. I can distinguish them pretty well.
Yeah, that's always an advantage for me. Thank you so much. It's been great, and have a great day.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that at least almost as much as I did. If you did, you can do a few things to let us know. Hit the thumbs up button in the bottom corner of the screen, scroll down, leave us a little comment, share it on social media, or even just simply hit that subscribe button so you can get kept in touch with everything we're doing over the next few weeks. I guarantee there's some stuff coming up you won't want to miss. So thanks again for watching, and have a great rest of your day.